Okay, you've done all the great work to contact potential investors, no matter what they may be, a banker, private individual, friends and family, equity investor groups, whatever they are. Then you got a meeting. You've picked the right ones. You think they might be a great fit for you. Now you're going to go on the line and make your presentation. You're going to do it really, really well. So what I thought I'd do is take you through what a presentation ought to contain, first of all, but more importantly, how you do it and do it successfully. Let's go to presentation mode and see if we can help you out here. So let me take you through this. This is all about putting together a successful investor presentation. It's something I did many years ago, and it still seems to work today. The first thing you gotta understand, what's the purpose of an investor presentation. It might surprise you, but it's really to get a commitment for the next meeting. A presentation mainly is a sales pitch. It lasts for upwards to an hour. Your presentation may be 20 minutes, but there's a back and forth answering questions. And what you really want to do is get them interested enough to start the due diligence process or start the application process, whatever the next step is. Investors don't usually write checks at the end of a presentation. They want to learn more, and that's a win. So keep that in mind. So your presentation then has to really instill confidence, foster excitement. So you got to be upbeat and demonstrate the attractiveness of your investment proposal. So if you accomplish all that, you'll get the next meeting because they're going to be on the edge of their chairs wanting to know more. Let's go into that in a little bit more detail. What's the investor really want to see? This is kind of important, so listen up. They want to hear a believable story, and it's told quickly, it's told concisely. No blathering on. Remember, you want to get through this whole thing in 15 to 20 minutes, and they want to hear it in a concise manner. Don't bloviate. It's got to be a well understood and growing market opportunity. You got to demonstrate that. You have clear knowledge of who you're selling to, who the buyer is, in other words. So you have a really good understanding of your market. So you also then have to show that you're competitively differentiated in both your products and services. What makes you different and better, more likely, than your competitors? That there's a solid value proposition, that when somebody buys this, there's a good financial reason for them to do it, or the fulfillment of some social purpose that's compelling, either one. Whatever your measure of success is, probably revenue, that it's achievable. This is a believable story, and how you're going to get revenue, they're going to understand and accept. That also there's a high barrier to entry. That is, it's going to be very hard for somebody else to copy you, do the same thing as you in the same way that you do it. That you have also a thoughtful go-to-market plan, so you know how to reach customers, qualify them, and as a result of the sales success, you're going to have attractive financial results. So you're going to be showing them financial information, and that all results in, on down the road, some great return on their investment. If it's a loan, you're showing that you're going to have the wherewithal to pay it back. If it's an equity investor, you show them that they're going to get a great return. But I left off the first bullet, didn't I? What they're really looking for is an impressive management team. You can have all these other things, but if you're not impressive, the management team you've put together isn't, they're going to have second thoughts. There's got to be confidence that you build in that the management team can really pull off what you're saying you can do. This is a slide that I've shown quite often over the years, and it's the basic layout of a presentation. But let me just do this briefly. You've probably seen this before, but this is kind of the flow of a presentation that takes 10, 15 minutes, maybe more. But it starts with a premise of the business, that is the problem you solve, your solution for it, or the need you fulfill and how you fulfill the need, or an opportunity you're chasing and how you provide that opportunity to people. However you look at the premise of this business, you then got to show that there's a market for this, a real quantifiable market that grows, and that when you enter the market, you'll wipe out the competition. A little strong on my part, but you have clear differentiation and can win in this market. Your strengths are greater than theirs, you exploit their weaknesses, and you win. Then, with this great product that's clearly differentiated, you have a well thought out marketing plan that enhances your brand image, gets the visibility you're looking for, but most importantly, generates leads, qualified leads that you sell to. Whether you're a B2B kind of business or a B2C kind of business, you've got to get leads, and either they put a purchase in the shopping cart or they call you up or contact you by whatever means you said you wanted to hear from them. And finally, you have the right sales approach, the sales channels, direct sales or indirect, however you're doing it, and that it's believable that you can achieve the revenue through this sales process you described to the investors. But here, near the end of it, you're going to show who your management team is, whether they're the right people to run this company based on their experience and their working relationships and their know-how. You then show your financial forecasts, which gives investors a feel for the flow of money, the dynamics, the financial dynamics of this business, and how it's going to be profitable, hopefully soon, and that you can generate cash, best of all, because that cash is going to be the basis for the value of the company later on, and your ability to show that you can pay back a loan. That's the architecture of a presentation. Now I'm not going to focus on the actual presentation itself. I want to talk about how you do it, how you come across. So first of all, you got to get prepared. So you customize your presentation for the investors that you're going to be talking to. You did your research on the investors themselves, and you know a lot about them. So your presentation ought to be slightly modified to play to what they're interested in. That's okay to do, as long as what you're doing should be of interest to them. You're not going to make stuff up. And it also gives you a chance to anticipate their questions. What are they looking for? And have the answers ready for you. So you're going to have the 10 to 20 minutes, as I've said many times now, but you got to practice this. Know your messages, make all this concise, and make it crystal clear and really simple to understand. Don't use a lot of tech words and acronyms and abbreviations. Talk their language. Quite frankly, talk at 8th grade level English. No baloney. Make things clear, keep it simple, concise, and make it a no-brainer for them to understand this. You don't want to be spending a whole lot of time explaining what you mean by things. You want to explain it first and foremost in the way they will understand it. So keep that in mind. And then manage your time. So getting prepared means practice. Get this thing down to the 10 to 15 minutes and record yourself. Play it back. Listen to yourself. See how you react to yourself. Show it to others and your team. Get their feedback. So getting prepared is very important, because when you get into that room with your investor, this ought to be clicking like a well-oiled engine. The presentation technique itself has many flavors, let's put it that way. The language that you use is economic, it's kind of netted out, results-oriented language. These are brief sentences, full of data, full of information, but said simply. Practice this. If you plan to say a whole paragraph on one single point, you're going to run out of time. Net it out. Each point ought to be a couple of sentences and move on to the next one. Make the sentence that you say, or the two sentences you say, really impactful. That takes a lot of practice. But as you do this, you have a smile on your face. You're going to be honestly positive about your company's outlook. You're not going to overstate, nor you're going to understate, but you're going to be honest. That means you're going to have integrity. You're going to come across that way. The best way to do that is know what you're talking about, and so you can say it confidently. Carry yourself with business demeanor. Standing in front of the room, you're talking to some businessmen and women. You carry yourself in a very similar way. There is some formality to this. As you present yourself, you're talking about a business. You certainly are going to take some time and talk about what you're delivering, describing the product and some of the underlying important differentiating technologies. but don't major on that. Major on what the business is about. You're explaining a business. Speak about the business, its market, its competitors, how you're going to reach the market, how you're going to sell, how you're going to support, and show what makes you different from the buyer's point of view. It's all about the buyer and what it is you're delivering and the business success you hope to achieve. A small segment of this presentation is on the science of all of this. Don't make your presentation a science project. Make it a business presentation. Now, you're also talking to some probably very smart people, very successful people. So don't try to educate them on how to run a business. Don't educate them on marketing and sales and how you did this and how you did that. Just show results. The results of all your work is this business. Don't explain ad nauseum how you figured all of this out, because you'll bore them to tears. Show your energy. Have a sense of urgency about the whole thing. Have a sense of humor as well. They're going to pick up on your energy as you present this. Keep in mind, you do have a time limit, so respect this by finishing on time. How about that? Because you practice it, you're pretty sure that you're going to do this in 12, 13, 15 minutes, whatever you decided, but do that. Show that you can meet that target at least. Then, during the course of the presentation or at the end of it, whenever it is that questions are going to be asked, whatever you want them to do, you can start the presentation by saying, hey, look, this is going to be interactive. I'll take your questions as we go, or let me get through the body of this, and then we'll answer your questions. Either way, quite frankly, most groups want to be able to ask you the question now. They're impatient, so you probably ought to just do it that way. Your answers should be crystal crisp, clear, concise, and done in about 45 seconds. That comes from my press training. 45-second answers and then move on. But about the same for you. Listen to their question, go right to the heart of the matter, answer the question, and move on. Now, of course, as you're in front of the room, you dress professionally. More likely, dress as your investor dresses. Probably business casual. Don't walk in looking like a slob with sandals and shorts and your baseball hat and put on backwards or whatever the heck you want to do, or your t-shirt or your sweatshirt. Dress up a little bit. Look like a business person. So there you have it. The other thing you've got to practice is, what might they ask me? So you should be prepared with answers to certain questions you're pretty sure that they're going to ask. And they come in about 6 categories here. The basis for the use of funds, the financial results expected kind of questions, questions about the market, the buyer personas, who the competition is, how you're going to get the market with your marketing and sales plan, and how you're going to achieve market traction. Questions about the management team, and questions about the technology. You'll certainly get those if you got a bunch of scientists in the room. So you're going to get a lot of these questions, and you got to be prepared to answer them. At the end of the meeting with the investors, what you want to have happen is you get the next meeting. So you test their interest, and you've answered their objections. Ask them what the next steps would be. They'll tell you. And establish a follow-up action. Hopefully it's a meeting. It may be, we're going to commiserate and we'll get back to you, which means you're going to follow up with them later on. But nail down a date and time. Do the best you can to get a commitment for the next meeting without being too pushy and overbearing. Now, I also mentioned earlier that you're going to get a lot of questions, and I've got some slides that can take you through all the questions that investors are going to ask. So if you contact me via email or through my website, I'll be glad to send you a copy of these questions that you can look at yourself. And they're pretty typical, and I've been through a lot of these presentations and I've asked a few, but these are the ones that usually get asked, and you're going to want to know them. So I hope this was helpful. Remember, what you're doing is getting the next meeting, put together a great presentation, practice it, get ready for the questions that are going to be asked of you, and get the next meeting. That's it, and have a great day.